They don't have, you can make a monkey out of a man, but you can't make a man out of a monkey. And that's what's the problem with the whole world, is we're too emotionally word fixated. So I have to be careful with my words. And you have to be careful how you hear me. Because you can learn me, and that's bad. The knowledge of good is just as bad as the knowledge of evil. That's what it says. And boy, do I understand that. Having knowledge shoved down your throat, having be obligated to do this or that, listen to a teacher and make sure you learn everything. And otherwise you don't get your degree, you don't get an education. This man here, sitting here, has no education whatsoever. Meaning, when I went to school, I didn't care a hoot. They all looked like dead people to me. The Walking Dead. I never knew they'd make a movie about that. I don't see any harm to teachers, but they don't know that they're broken. And they don't know they break the kids, for which reason our country is being lost. Especially because, if you don't mind me talking a little bit about politics, there's not much, but nearly all the teachers, without realizing how they got to be that way, because of generations, you get married and you have children and you have children and they get married and it multiplies exponentially. Well, teachers are like that. Once you get, let me stop there to make it more clear. I am an expert in hypnosis. 7 out of 10 people, I can mesmerize them and they wouldn't even know it. But you have to know what being mesmerized is. It's temptation. Lead us away from the mesmerist. Deliver us from evil. Temptation is just a word they use in the Bible, but what it really is hypnosis, hypnotic states that last for the rest of your life. And it passes from generation to generation through one man's sin and death through sin spread through the human race. Bingo. Wherever you go, everywhere you go, everybody's got exactly the same problem. The good people have it, but not so bad. The bad people have it, and it's terrible. The good people who have it are not good enough to deal with the people that really have it and use it on you to demoralize you, to threaten you, to seduce you. That's why it's important for America to have the understanding and, if pardon expression, screw the rest of the world. You need to understand the great simplicity that Jesus Christ left us. So I said I'm a Jewish boy yesterday on, but the point is, he's Jewish. And so salvation is from the Jews. Only the Jewish people have suffered all through the generations. Half of them have been lost since 2015, not 19, but the 15th century. 1 out of every 2 Jews have been murdered. But they still hold together. They still hold together. They survive it. And they survive it because they have a certain amount of virtue. That God loves them, even though they've been naughty boys for a long time. That's why they lost Israel and had to be spread throughout the world and suffer. We all have to suffer, but in America, we have Judeo-Christianity. That's what it is. Christianity is the extension of Judaism. It's the fulfillment of Judaism. It's Judaism, but fulfilled. You don't need verses and chapters. You need the Bible, and you read it yourself, wonderful. But you're not supposed to memorize it. Do not memorize anything mechanically. Don't feel pressure anytime to listen to what somebody has to say, agree. You don't want to have the anxiety that if you don't learn, you never get anywhere. I got a lot of places. I got it along very well without learning because I am understanding. Now, understanding is to stand under. That's why we call this the foundation of human understanding, because we stand under God. It's human understanding of Him. The animals have their own understanding with Him. But He has a perfect relationship with us. And the beauty of all this, the beauty of it, to make it nice and simple and make it very religious, spiritually religious, is that through one man's sin, death through sin spread through the human race. It's like a virus. Every person who comes into the world is broken. And you're broken when you're young. And the wicked ones know they catch you before 7 years old. Before that, you'll never be able to survive them. You can turn them into machines, like Hitler did. At 12 years old, they were fighting for their Führer. It's all the soldiers they ever had left, and they were fighting for their Führer, 12 years old, thinking that's their God, and being proud of themselves and sacrificing themselves for that swine. But look what he did to a whole country. That's what I thought to myself when I was young. How did he do that to a whole country? I had to find out. I found out. But it took a long time, and it took marriage. I can jump around a little bit, but it all comes together. If I hadn't have got married, and if my wife wasn't difficult, as women are, silence. If I hadn't got married and gave my oath till death do us part, because I believe that, so I'm 64 years married, and she's a Lulu. She's not easy, but I understood by learning not to be upset with her, frustrated with her, but being firm. You're not going to get me, no way are you going to get me to react to anybody. But women have the power of Eve. Every woman is an Eve. Everyone. They can't help it because they've inherited it. And every man is the extension of Eve. You're born of woman. You're born of Eve. Every woman is an Eve. Through one man's sin, and death through sin spread through the human race. Men and women are screwed, if you pardon the expression. It's because they're the extension of those. But the beauty of that extension, where we come into the world as a child, we come complete with intuition. Intuition which is godly. Outtuition is hell. The spoken word, the worldly people who, well, the world around us is represented by those who precede us, who are subject to the world. And therefore, since they're subject to the world, they do not realize it in their hypnotic state. That's what it does. You enter the world, and the world gets inside you. There's an old saying, you can how can you say this? The child, you put the boy in the country, but you can't get the country out of the boy. In other words, the minute you come into the world, if you come into let me see if I can find something really mean. If you're born in Borneo, you'll be a cannibal. If you're born in Hitler's Germany, you could not be anything else. But America, let's come right back to America. We have the same problem. The difference is we have what we call freedom. We have the freedom to do wrong for a while. Because every parent comes into the world from a parent who came into the world, from a parent through one man's sin and death through sin. So every woman is an Eve, and every man is the extension of Eve. And every man that's born does not really fully understand how influential the female is, not from her sexual attraction so much as the fact that the sexual aspect of a man is not the same as an animal. Otherwise, you'd be an animal. There's got to be some kind of virtuous order. God, let's leave Jesus out for a minute, but let it be like it was in the beginning. There was no Jesus then, but he was there, I suppose, waiting for his turn. So there was God, man, woman, devil. Something that spoke to her. That something speaks to you in your whole. Every human being has that in them, no matter how good they are. One second, I've got to open this up. And you have a squeaky voice. Just listen. So every man is born of woman and is the extension of the woman, who is the extension of the voice, the wordless. It's a voice that spoke to her, but it wasn't a voice. Something was able to put into her mind to tempt him, because she's the furthest from God. And God gave man, the first man he created, a relationship with him. And that was the constitution, the spiritual constitution we all have, that will save us. We have to have an outside constitution, but that's only recently. That's called America. It gives us a semblance, some kind of freedom, because nowhere in the world, I can't go back to England, it's all finished. To America, I look at America and see how many people are, what they call it. I'm stuck with that word. It's a very important word. There's been talking about it so often. Politically correct. Politically correct is dangerous. You're a treacherous person if you're politically correct. What politically correct do you owe your allegiance? How can you be politically correct? How did you get the idea that it's America? You don't have to be politically correct. But somehow, politically correct has been extended, and we've been infected by it. When I came to America, there was no such thing as politically correctness. No such thing. We were free. So we were still free, but we weren't perfect, because we are born perfect, but we're corrupted from our perfection. In other words, we have that intuition when we're born. And it takes a little while for us to open our eyes and say, Dada, Mama, see? And then we begin to teach ourselves. You ever see anyone teach a child how to speak? He just listens and figures it all out for himself. Got it? Do you remember being anybody teaching you to speak? You listened and you figured it out, all the grammar and everything. And 2 years old, you can speak as good as anybody. And ask questions, because you're not that broken by words. And those beautiful words that comes out of a little kid, he's asking questions, and we don't know the answers. You just tell him to shut up, or just patronize the kid. Oh, we don't know. You ever watch? What's that funny South Park? Have you ever watched that? I have. I love it. It's hysteric. It's very interesting. They make fun of it and make the points. And so, but the point is, parents are broken. The child is broken by parents. They can't help it because the parents are in hypnotic states. So if you're a person in Borneo, where you're a cannibal, your culture will be cannibalism. And if you have a little glint in your eye that says, I don't believe in cannibalism, I see what's going on, and you don't realize you're saying to yourself, I see this, it's all silent. They will see the silence. They can actually see the gleam, and they can see the aura, and they'll put you in a soup pot. You haven't got a chance of a snowflake in hell. And same in Germany, and same in Russia, and same in where ISIS is. In America, we have the Constitution. A Constitution is almost as good, not almost as good, it is good enough if we can keep it, if we can just learn to stand up and say, you can't do this to it, Mr. President, you can't make it up as you go along, you promised to on the Bible that you're going to uphold the Constitution. He doesn't, and you don't do it, you're losing your freedom. You're cowards. America is a cowardly nation. This wasn't the case when I came here. It was a beautiful place. The people were beautiful, except in the South. I'm sorry to say that. The South is a Democrat. Lincoln was a Republican. There was no Democrats. Where the hell they come from? So we made our enemy our friend, and he's not our friend. So you watch out for the left. But now you have to watch out for the right, because they're corrupt too. You see what I'm getting at too? It's the subtlety of evil is incomprehensible. And the reason why you all have problems is because you're the extension of your mother and father, who did not know what they were doing. Forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they're doing. And they hear that in church, but it doesn't mean anything to them. Honor your mother and father, though the days may be long. You say to yourself, my mother and my father, they were crazy. He was a drunk, she was a whatever it was, a lust. Well, that's not the right word, is it? Never mind, we'll let that go by. But the point is, she's impatient, she is seductive, she's possessive. Whatever it is, that's sin. To fulfill her emptiness, she fills her emptiness from enslaving her children towards her. It's a love-hate relationship. It's a codependency. That is murder, to be codependent, because you become dependent on your mom's approval, and you only get a sense of worth. And we don't. But this is the only love we know. That's the kind of love we have. Is selfishness. It's all about us, where we want to be nice to people. See, and we take the life out of our kids. And one kid runs, and she may chase him and leave the one she's done in already. And he's in jail, and she goes to jail and tries to rescue him there, and he runs away. He doesn't want it. But then he becomes a broken person too. He becomes a murderer, he becomes a thief and a liar and a cheat. Yes?
Yeah, I don't have a phone.
Could you stand up, please, Tim?
Yeah. I've got I found some negatives in the photo album.
What?
And negatives in my old family photo album that weren't printed. So I had them reprinted, and it shows an energy transfer in the photo of myself, my aunt, to myself, and it shows another picture of my aunt, and she looks like a ghost. And you were talking about psychic vampires.
Yes.
And I remember growing up, people asking me questions of, did you get punched in both eyes? Why are your eyes dark all the time? And I brought the pictures with me. I want to show it to you privately.
Yeah.
But
Did you have those eyes? Did you have those eyes? Not. So?
Black eyes. I didn't get punched in my eyes.
Oh, black eyes.
Black eyes, the dark circles.
Oh, I
dark
see.
circles.
Okay, I get it. I get it.
And I was always trying to get away. My whole life was trying
You
to
did
get away.
you did you forget all that?
What's that?
Did you forget it, or just you did it? Did
I
it
was
uncover
aware
it?
of going on, but I really didn't see. As you get older, it takes a long
You
time.
never said that before. You've
Yeah,
been coming
no.
a lot.
Yeah, it takes forever to see the obvious for me. It's like, I was in it, but I was so, what it was my mom was so broken that she couldn't protect me from my grandmother, et cetera. I've told you the story about that. But it's almost like, I don't know, I can't get all the words together because there's so much to it. But it was like, my whole life has been trying to get away, to escape. Retreat, retreat, retreat. And I had, after I moved to the house where I lived for almost 18 years, I used to think that house was haunted, but it really wasn't the house itself, it was the people that lived in the house.
Yes.
And I remember the first night I spent in there when my aunt and uncle lived there. We inherited it from my aunt and uncle. My aunt gave it to my mom. I remember the very first night I was there, I couldn't sleep on my back. I had to turn over and sleep on my stomach because the pressure was so great in the house. It was like something was pulling on me. And I remember
That's very interesting.
lived in the house for about 16 years. And then after I moved, up until about...
See, he has diabetes 1.
Yeah.
I say he could be cured of it if he could realize what happened to him, because it's a child's thing.
But when I would have reoccurring dreams, and this was up until about 6 or 7 years ago, it was in the morning, and me and my mother and my brother were packing to leave the house. And it was always that reoccurring dream of getting out of the house, and it was always early in the morning. And the house would always look different. It was kind of eerie glow to it. But it was just really, I don't know, it's like pieces of the puzzle.
Is everybody understanding this to some degree?
Yeah.
All right, see.
Yeah. And I have that photo. I'm going to show you the photo.
I will see it.
And because it is the camera doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. Yeah.
Sometimes it does.
But sometimes you can Photoshop. This is
Photoshop.
this is taken a long time ago. So anyway, I understand the reason why I am the way I am.
You haven't said anything about all these years you've been
No,
here.
I said it. I gave them little bits and pieces of it.
Little bits and pieces
Yeah,
up.
but I've never
But you're putting it together now.
Yeah, it's coming together. It's taken a long time. But this is another thing that happened to me when I was very young. I was taught not to hurt people's feelings. But it was really I don't know how to explain it. It was like the greatest sin in our family was to hurt somebody's feelings, to speak and be honest. We almost grew up like the Japanese and the Japanese culture.
Yes.
Where you're selfless and you sacrificed yourself to everybody.
Yes.
My mom was very insecure. She cared too much about what other people thought. And because her insecurity got to us, we're almost like giving ourselves to everybody. And I was like I became selfish. I had to live for myself. So I became sort of like the recluse or the hermit. I really didn't want to have anything to do with people. And so what I did was I got to a point where I really wanted to be away from people. I liked the woods. I liked the forest. I liked getting out there in the trees, just being alone. And I had to do that just to survive. So,
See, he's been coming here for years. And little bits, but not enough for me to work with.
yeah,
That's a whole lot.
yeah,
That is the whole pie.
yeah,
Now, I said to you that as soon as you can understand yourself better now and recognize that all those people could not help themselves.
Yes,
and
I
they
see
could
that.
not see themselves do it, but you could.
Yes, I could.
That's a gift.
It is.
But when
It
you
is.
resent it, which you couldn't help,
Yeah.
it infected you.
Yeah.
But it infected you, but you still got common sense.
Yeah, it did.
But you haven't understood the way the common sense is supposed to work.
No.
And you didn't understand the nature of a God.
No.
not
God,
quite.
Dad wasn't in the family. He was
Yeah,
totally out of the
You
picture.
didn't know how to find redemption.
No.
But you have to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been suffering all these years.
Mm-hmm.
And since you came here, slowly but surely,
Yeah.
you had to be careful of me because I might be one of them. And you listened to me as if I was
Sure.
one of them, correct?
Yeah.
So that's why you could not hear me, but you're beginning to hear me now.
Yeah, trust is a hard thing for me. God had no face or no voice in my life. He was absent.
And I had none of what you had. I
Yeah.
had everything but everything called faith, and I didn't know I had it.
Yeah. I had bits and pieces of it in my life. I had got tastes
Yeah,
of it.
that's
Yeah.
good. You're going to put it together.
Yeah. But I had times in my life where I was immune to.
Now, do you understand your condition of
Diabetes?
Huh?
Diabetes, you mean?
diabetes?
Yeah.
Do you understand that that's not different from people who get diabetes later?
Yeah, it's
It is because Hitler knew that if you get children below 7 years old, and the communists do in this country too, that nobody can recover. You'll have them as zombies.
completely broken.
Completely broken.
Yeah.
It isn't true.
No.
It isn't true. It's only true because they don't want you to think it's true. And generally speaking, if you don't provide the solution, which is that they may not know about.
No.
The bad guys don't know about it. They don't want to know about it, but I know about it, and
Well,
they're going to know about it before I finish on this program.
You understand. You help me with the physical aspect, with the diet part, and I understand the diet part of it, how to eat properly. That's the reason why I'm still alive.
Yes.
And I take that very religiously in a sense, so I'm learning
You
more and
actually
more
look
and
good
more
for
on it.
100.
What's that? I hope so. My grandmother lived to 101, but she was one of the energy bandits, and but
Now,
it
this,
was.
this
yeah.
young gentleman, for those of you here, been here for a long time, this has all been buried, really. I haven't been able to see that.
Yeah, well, I haven't spoke up this much about it. It's just the photos really kind of hit home when I saw the pictures, and it kind of brought all the pieces together.
But let me ask you a question now,
Sure.
all the pieces together. Honor your mother and father.
Yeah.
They were scumbags.
Well, my father was. I have the nature of my father, even though I never met him, never knew him. He
You had a
left
bit of everybody,
Yeah, I've got a little bit of everybody bad. It sticks to
but
you.
you're not you.
I'm not me. No, my father was a chronic alcoholic. He wasn't a bad man. I learned more
He was
about.
broken.
Yeah, he was broken, and
But
he.
let's stop right there.
Yeah.
He is not bad at it.
No,
Your
he
mother
wasn't.
was not bad, but she was broken.
Yes.
And her grandmother, and the great-grandmother.
Yes.
And the great-great-grandmother.
It's passed
all
down.
back to Paradise Lost.
I could see that with my mother and father. I could forgive them because I could understand that perfectly after.
Now, here's the key.
Yeah.
You're standing in their shoes, and you got a disease,
Yes.
sickness, and then some,
Yeah.
because of other
Oh, yeah.
disadvantages, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All that goes away when you can see what Jesus said, and he cried it out loud. And when I hear people mention that, or when I mention it, or when the preacher mentions it, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. That's just a noise.
Yeah.
And you really wonder, what does that mean? Or I would wonder, the average person just hears the voice of Jesus or the voice of the average preacher. And they just, interesting, he's a nice Jesus, he says all nice things, and they all go up feeling better. They get stroked with it. And the preacher stands up and shakes hands with everybody. Did you like the talk? Yes, Mr. Preacher, we like it very much. Thank you. It was very pleasant, very uplifting. And they go to church on Sunday and sin on Monday.
It validates them.
Nothing really changes, except they call themselves Christians. Sorry to put it that way. I want Christianity to be Christians. I want to take the place of the pastor who himself is in the way of Jesus. The pastor isn't, I would be in the way. I'm telling you, just listen to me what I'm saying. But don't think that it's, I want you to memorize. I don't want you to memorize. I want you to just listen to one ear, comes out the other ear, and when you go out of here, hey, I saw that. I see that. All of a sudden, your mind opens because you're looking for the truth. And when you go to church or synagogue, same thing, brainwashing. Brainwashing even in Christianity. Jesus didn't brainwash people. He released people from being brainwashed, from the Sadducees and the Sadducees, right? Is it Sadducees from Sadducees?
Pharisees. Yeah.
Well, correct me when I'm wrong, please.
Okay.
Pharisees and Sadducees, right? That's
Yep.
it.
Is it pronounced seduces? Or there's a D in there, isn't there?
Oh, never
Not
mind
that
it.
it matters, but I think there's a
No,
D.
you have a tendency
Okay.
to babble unnecessarily. If you have an honest question and you present it properly, I listen to you. But you make it difficult. My wife does that. She talks when she shouldn't. Just for the sake of talking. Just to get attention. You don't realize what you're doing. You're not really asking good questions. You're not following.
I wasn't asking a
Oh,
question.
it's not a crime. It's not
Yeah, I
a,
understand what you're
not a
saying.
crime. You keep
Sorry.
coming until you see it.
Okay.
You keep coming till you see it.
Yeah, I kind of sort of see it.
Yeah, just shush, shush, shush for a while. So where was I now? So far, so good. Coming back to you.
Yes.
See, I opened the program with what I say to the newcomers, and you can see, I hope you can all see, that I'm leading to something, leading to the very fact, simple fact, that redemption was waiting for you before you were born. Because you're born innocent, but corrupted. How could you be how could you blame a child for the corruption and the behavior, which is hypnotic temptation, means you defend what has been corrupting you. And the tendency is to go to the person to, in some way, in marriage and in friendship, you tend to be drawn to the wrong kind of people to love you as you are. Mm-hmm. That's how we got Obama.
Yeah.
We're drawn to raise, we see him, and we recognize that he will love us the way we are. But those who love them, those who he loves, is the left. Mm-hmm. Those who are on the right, who think they're Christians, are closer to it, but still not close enough. Because they got all the words and not the music. I want the words and the music. And so I have a gift to share with you so you can look at things just a little differently.
I would just say that one thing about myself is when you're talking like that, I understand what you're saying is balance. We don't have the balance in our lives, and I go to extremes. I watch myself. I'm going to one extreme to the other, and it's like, what am I doing? I don't understand my nature.
Which extreme is which? You give in and you're rebellious.
Yeah.
You give in,
Yep.
and you're rebellious.
And
when you give in, you get to rebellious for having to be given.
Yep. And it's like I got pushed so much that
There's no way out.
Yeah, and I
No
got pushed so much that I'm always pushing back. It's like it's just
Naughty.
Yeah.
Now, when you meditate,
Yeah.
it's only 7 minutes.
I do twice a day.
Yes, but still, the whole purpose of meditation is to find the meaning of be still and know I am God.
Yeah.
That is a key. And centuries, thousands of years. Before Jesus was here, the prophets understood that. But they couldn't share it. They didn't have the authority. The authority is redemption comes. in the Jewish religion, it was they all believed the Messiah was coming. The good ones, the Pharisees, not the Sadducees.
Yeah.
They're just broken.
Yeah.
They are non-believers. What do you call a non-believer? Who's
Atheists? Yeah.
They were atheists, the Jewish atheists.
Yeah.
And they hated Paul. You know, they want to kill him.
Yeah.
And because he was a Roman citizen, they gave him a whole lot of guards to keep him alive, because there was a plan to kill Paul. See that? Because he believed in the coming of what his name was Jesus then, but
Yeah.
he didn't have a name then.
The Redeemer.
The
I guess.
Redeemer, yes. And so, where was I with that? Oh, well, I get stuck sometimes.
Yeah. They were trying to kill Paul. And,
Oh, yes, no,
yeah.
that was just, oh yes, I'm coming back to it now. It was counted for them as righteousness to believe the Savior was coming. Even though he hadn't come,
Yeah.
they were redeemed. That is in the Jewish religion.
Yeah.
But they still missed him. They missed him. See? But they'll find him if I have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
I'll go to Israel one day. See, they may well throw me out, but who knows?
You don't know.
I'm not too popular anywhere. If you know what I mean, because truth is difficult to people who think they have it when they don't.
People have to be ready. They have to suffer, I guess.
Because the culture into which you're born, now every culture, everyone, except the extreme ones like cannibals and Hitler, Germany, that kind of thing, and ISIS, they are so in Germany, they would kill anybody that even spoke a little different about where the things are. And in Borneo, to use it in the nth degree, it was that way. There was no chance for freedom. You have to be a cannibal, and you have to be loved for a cannibal and rewarded for a cannibal. This is happening in this country. That's what's happening. Those who go to school and corrupted, some of them are looking for answers, and some of them think they have the answer, which is they're doing unto others. They're cruel and mean and lying and thieving, and they're enjoying that kind of freedom, the freedom to be wrong. And then there's the freedom to be right. So I want to explain about America, what a beautiful place this is, or would be and can be again, is that we're born in sin, but not born in sin like it's our fault. Born into culture, and the culture gets into us, which is sin. But it was given to us, we didn't willfully do it. We still have a connection to Creator. And all we need is to be reminded that is true. And in this minute, I've just told you that nothing you've ever done is your fault. Nothing your mother ever did was her fault. Nothing your father did. They just never got it because the culture began to take hold and justify their way of life. They got friends that justify them and drinking buddies that make you feel good about drinking, etc., etc. Now, this is a good question.
You determine that. So what you were just talking about, when my mind just almost disappeared on me in 2 seconds, I had a question. Well, now it's going back to another question, so I guess I'll go back to this other question. Occasionally, when I meditate, this has happened to me for many, many, many years, and I guess I must not know how to deal with it because it's happened many, many times for many years. And sometimes I'll just feel this, it's like inside of me something shakes. I don't physically shake, but there's something inside of me that I can feel shaking.
That's the identity that isn't you.
Yeah.
Everybody, the
I
identity.
guess I don't know how to deal with it because I've had it for
Well, you will.
years.
You are pretty new to it. You're pretty new to what we're doing.
No, no, sir. Perhaps you don't remember me.
No, but you haven't been here many times, and I had to
Yes,
shut
but-
you down a few times if you didn't mind seeing. So, you'll get. That's a better question. That's a good question, but all I can tell you is you be patient, because you see you still don't understand it. I can hear it, and so you just be patient. Let my words go through one ear, come out the other, and if you don't understand it, wait. Be patient, wait. Don't get frustrated to try to figure it out for yourself, because there is no self. Nobody really has a true self. They're true to other selves who've done to them what was done to them. Who does to you what they have. You do understand that, basically. Are you there?
We were talking about a little while ago about family dynamics and politics and, you know,
I'm trying to keep away from it, but you can't
yeah.
help but drift
If we're
towards it.
at Paradise Lost and the things that are wrong with this country, you know, that you had come here about 1960 from England and now it's really degenerated and increasingly
is.
so. I was going to talk about another dimension of this scenario, or another part of the equation is satanic influences.
Yes?
Witch covens. It's come to me that this is the part of the destruction of America. There are more witches praying together in huge amounts and directing it toward people and in witchcraft that is undoing a lot of institutions
I'm
and
not
people.
quite sure what you're saying.
Yeah, what I'm saying is
It's
that
not
there's
clear.
a I've seen this in Southern California, which is why I'm up here. They bind together and they pray just as Christians pray, except they're praying for evil instead of good.
Yes, yes. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
That's a given. What we're talking about here is the other side of it. And we recognize that people, when they come into the world and they're infected, there's some of us that like the infection. They decide, I like my infection because I have power over somebody. And then in order to have that, keep that power, because you need to be empowered, you have to be a cannibal. You have to eat more people, and the more people you eat, the higher up the chain you go to being a king. You get a cannibal king, and you get rewarded for it. It's basically money or anything like that, and power. And so you have to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And so there's a number of people in every society that love what is rotten, but they feel uncomfortable about it. And so they need reassurance. They're insecure. But there's two ways of being insecure. You can long for the devil, and it rises to the occasion of your need as a Führer or an Obama. And he loves the worst in people, and they feel so much better, and encourages them to be SOBs, right? So we forget those. We have to learn to deal with those. I encounter them in my whole life, and you have to learn not to flinch. They call you a dirty Jew, a dirty Christian. They call you all kinds of, you're stupid, you don't know what you're doing. They beat you up. We have all these things from childhood into the world we go with lying and cheating. America is a very bad place for business now because there's no honor anywhere. Rare. I've been there. I had a part in building and a part of Talk Radio Network, which is 900 stations, bigger than what was the second biggest? No, it was the biggest one. ABC. Yeah, I should be able to remember ABC, shouldn't I? Yeah, it's bigger than ABC. And we had a group of people that, I don't know if you understand the language, but they sell the commercials and then give us the money and keep part of it themselves for getting the business, the commercials. Suddenly, it became a monopoly, shut down, get no more money, all owed to us. It would take 6 months to build it up again. See, Soros is behind that. See that? And if you look around, talk radio is disappearing. And the idea of that is we don't want, the left doesn't want to know anything. You don't know what's going on. They want to be the media. And the media is all that too. Not all of them, but most. So where are we going with this is the way we can come back is to know the truth that sets us free. And I want to discuss freedom because in Borneo or Hitler Germany, you don't have any freedom except to be what they are. There's no space. In America, we have the right. We are born in a place where we have a constitution that protects us. And we can complain about that and make sure that people go to jail that try to hurt us, etc., etc. And it's the most beautiful document, most beautiful people, the most beautiful people like Washington and the small army. It's a long story. But it was just a small army. Didn't have any gunpowder, didn't have any shoes. And the farmers gave food to the British and not to our own people. Didn't have the money. But look what just a few people can do. So in Washington's time, see, he was a very unusual person. And he represents America. And those young men that died in the freezing cold and not having food, etc., etc. These people are responsible for what we have. And what we have is freedom. You have the freedom to be wrong and the freedom to be right. But we all come into the world broken. So, in other words, we are corrupted by our own parents. But our parents were corrupted by their parents. And you can go right back to Adam and Eve, through one man's sin and death through sin, spread through the whole human race. In cannibal world, it never reached there. And you get put in into the soup pot if you try to do it. See, so we just put those aside because those are goners. There's no way. They just keep on eating each other, and there's no consciousness there. But there is consciousness in Hitler Germany because evil, and because of the state of mind the Germans were in for which reason he rose up. We didn't treat him right with the Treaty of Versailles. We didn't treat him right. We really didn't. To teach the German people right, even though they started the war, like we did with Japan. Yeah. See, yeah. And Europe and Europe, yeah. We make sure that they did the right thing with the money. The Great Depression, yes, yeah. was because we took all our money from the First World War. We gave Hitler money to make sure they build cars, and instead of that, they're building tanks and airplanes and machine guns. See, this is so many things that cause things to happen. And then when you had Chamberlain, who just was a wimp, and Churchill who wasn't. If Churchill would have got in, 150 million people would still be alive. 150 million. Do you know what's going to happen now? Much worse. World War III is right within a few months. Thank God you have a Second Amendment right. It makes a difference, but people will die. People will die. But I know how, if I have a radio network, if I can hold on to that record, then I become relevant. I can teach people or show them how to deal with the adversaries. The adversaries are our own making. We bred them. We let them into the country. We purposely let them into the country because we, as American people, are motivated by our media. And the media is the response of universities being compromised, multiplying them, and with degrees in this and that, being a lawyer. You see, the lawyers actually, Obama is a lawyer, but look what kind of a lawyer he was. He knows how to tear it down. You have to know what it is to tear it down. It comes to me. I have to know what's wrong with you so I can tear it down. See?
Just recently,
You handsome creature.
just recently, somebody offended me. I felt insulted.
Yes.
They normally this doesn't happen to you because you surround yourself with your friends and family, and the most people that you meet, they don't insult you, or you don't take offense. But I'm trying to look at this thing. I don't understand why I should react so much from what this.
Conditioning. It's conditioning. You have to be saved from conditioning. And conditioning is a whole thing. As long as you are reacting, and it begets reacting. And reacting gets you into trouble. And you either give in to go along, which emboldens the enemy. See, emboldens. You give him power. Or
You return in kind.
or you become angry, and if you can't beat the person who made you give in and made you a slave, you turn around and make somebody else a slave. You do unto others what was done unto you. There it is in Jesus. There is the Jesus thing which we don't understand. We just let it go right by our ears. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But you can't do that. You can't do it until you are redeemed. See, so redemption is key. Being still to find that redemption is essential. So you need to focus on one part, not just Jesus Christ by himself, but what the key that he left you. Because that key is his realm, is the access to him. Be still and know I am God. That's the key. But when he came into the world, he came into the world perfect. And so, even in his childhood, he had magic. Understand that a person of God is magical. I think of God as magic because he's pulled the universe out of a hat, like a rabbit. A magician pulls a rabbit out of a hat. But he pulls the universe out of a hat without a hat. You can't, the scientists cannot grasp this. They don't know. I've written about the beginning. I'm going to go on Facebook with this because I know how it began. But we won't go into this now. And so, what was I trying to say now? I distracted myself.
You're talking about magic.
Yeah, magic. So, Jesus was magic because he could change water into wine. I can only change wine into water. but that's magic too. I don't know how to do that. But I'm not joking. It's serious. All the chemistries, all the things are going in my body. Everything about me, do I understand any of it? No. I don't need to. I just need to appreciate it. That I have this body and a spirit inside this body that is, the body is simply the vehicle by which the spirit travels in relationship to his creator. And that is intuition. That is the ability to see and perceive. Jesus says about the Pharisees, or not the Pharisees so much, but the Sadducees, you see, he calls them, he swears, whitewashed tombs, dead men's bones. That's what he says. He speaks up to them, just like your husband used to speak up to the commissioners. But he's saying there's something else besides being a monkey with conditioning. And the monkey can't change its conditioning. It doesn't need to. It's born with what it's supposed to be. We have a slate, clean slate, which we could be written on for the rest of our lives, negative or positive. Positive goes on forever. Negative kills you. It goes on as long as your fallen nature can exist, and then you die with great horror. Isn't that not right? So we are special to him.
When you're wounded with these words, and that's what the devil does through people that you love and you care about. If you didn't care about them, those words wouldn't hurt.
That's a very interesting statement. Now, I don't care if you listen to me or not. I just do it. Some of you care, some of you don't. I'm not hurt if you think I'm an idiot. But what is magical, if we may talk about magic, is the fact that I don't know how to get angry. I don't know how. He took it away from me. Because you can't serve two masters, can you? You can't serve. If you respond to the pressure, you haven't found God. You can be as good as your fallen nature permits, and that's good. But with your husband, he passed away. In case you didn't know, he was buried yesterday, right? And he was a good person. You were a naughty girl. You had a very good husband. And you've been very quiet for a long time, but that quietness has always been a suspicion that you are a bully with him. You did. He was so much better than you.
He was.
Amen. You gave him a hard time.
May I?
A really big hard time. See, that quietness comes from quietness and being innocent looking and being very cordial to everyone is just a mask. See, when you're married, you're Eve, and man, you're Eve with a weapon, right? And so it's good that you resolved it towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
It was better, wasn't it?
Yeah. Our marriage improved vastly over the years. I would say that when we were first married, I was very unaware of that part of me. But over the last 5 years, I would say that he grew beyond me. He was totally unintimidated by me. He wasn't
That's
moved.
good.
He wasn't moved by me, believe me. And he wanted to pull me. He knew I had to be saved from myself. Totally. He understood what was going on. And I would say that I had started to become so aware that anytime I would do something wrong, I would say to him, "Did you catch me doing that? I'm sorry, I was rude."
Yes.
I caught myself doing it. And I would be totally open about it.
Took you a while though, didn't it?
It did, but you see,
But you
But it
came
was-
every week, and that was good.
Well, about shortly before he died, I had in my mind, I said, blessed be the day, when I can give up that compulsion to talk to him in the manner I did. I knew that in my heart, and I prayed for that. And he knew that I was on that path.
Yes.
There's always been a strong pressure in me to vent. And that was the problem in that regard.
You
But
never
I will
did-
tell
I
you.
don't think you ever remember telling me what your parents were. You kept that a secret to
My
me.
parents.
Yes, you're always such a nice lady, always polite, but I could see beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
And I never knew your husband that well, but when he first came, I saw a glimmer in him
He was
before he
strong.
died.
He was strong.
I said it yesterday at the funeral,
Yes.
didn't I? I made a mention of that.
And I know you hadn't seen him for over a year, but I will tell you that over the last year, he had grown tremendously. And over the last 2 weeks before he died, it was like unbelievable where he was going. It was a weird,
I want you to know he's where he belongs.
Yeah, I know.
He's been called.
I know.
I'll be called one day.
And
maybe
if I
my-
may say, first of all, I want to thank you so much for such a touching service yesterday. And I know many, many people were touched.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
But I've always loved you, you know that.
I know.
If my wife was here, she'd get angry.
Now, my husband, I got to say, my husband was completely beyond what was wrong with me. He was not moved, left or right, with what was in. He knew. He used to call me his morning star. He says, "I know who you really are."
There you are.
He knows who I really am.
Yes. That's why he didn't resent you.
He did not hate me at all.
And if all men could do
Not
that,
at all.
if all men could do that, the country gets better because my country needs men. And women need a husband that's like a father as well. At
And
first
even-
it's a husband, and in the later stages is a dad.
And even when I couldn't see it for myself, he could see it for me. So I know that there's I have to tell you, Roy, in my heart, that when he first died, I called myself a pig one morning. But I know that he was beyond me. I just did not move him. He was saved from the hell in me. He was saved from me. I know it. And he knew it. And he wanted to pull me to the right side. He knew I had to be saved in the same way
He
as he
gave
did.
his life for you.
He did. His problem, while it was physical, I'm so grateful that he wasn't subject to me in the way that a lot of men are subject to their wives.
If he was another man, he would have killed you.
That's right.
That's right.
It's true.
That's how difficult you were. But your sweet little girl here. But I knew about it. I'm not fooled that easy.
Yeah. But he knew too.
I know.
He did.
I know.
So
He'd been listening too.
I know. And I know that he would want me to be strong for him because he wouldn't want it any
You
other
need to
way.
represent what he was.
I'm sorry.
You need to represent
Exactly.
in
He
your
would
life
not want me
what
to.
he was to you.
Yeah.
And you will become strong, and in another few years, you'll be completely look different, act different. You'll be like Wendy. Wendy was, where is she? Is she here?
Wendy's right here.
There you are. There you are. I was talking behind her back, behind my back. But she's come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that right, Wendy?
Yeah.
So she's my friend.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Say it on the microphone. Wendy said yes.
Yeah. Wendy said yes. Wendy
Yes,
said yes.
because, well, we'll have to talk to her about
It's just like this kind of conversation is very painful to me because it makes me, there's a part of me that feels like that I could take what you said and say, woe is me, you know, and I know, but I also know, I know who he was. I lived with him, and I know how he handled me. And I also know that he understood me completely. On the day he died, he was beaming from ear to ear, and he said to me, I am so glad that you're listening to me. He knew it was a big step in our marriage. He was very happy about it. And you see, this is what I wanted to have develop in our marriage, that I wanted to be his wife and not his
boss.
Yes, this is what I wanted. I always wanted that.
I know.
But I couldn't, there was something in me that,
It wouldn't let you.
well, I was two people. I was the part of me that was good, that was reaching for the right things. And then there was just this hellhole in me that would come up every once in a while. But, you know, when we were first married, it would upset him. He would resent it. But once he started coming to your sessions here back in 2011, boom, he got it. And suddenly he was beyond me, and he got better and stronger. His capacity to handle me with incredible patience, where most men would go, oh, God, they tear their hair out. I was tearing my hair out with myself. I was difficult. I wasn't consistently difficult, but when I was being difficult, I was being difficult. But he knew how to handle me. Mm-hmm. He knew who I really was.
That's what men are for, to love the hell out of the woman. Adam should have loved the hell out of her too. He didn't. He got into her. Because you've hearkened unto your wife. There it is.
I have to tell you something, that if he was here, I know he would say in my defense that it wasn't you, that there was something physical going on.
I would say the same thing.
Yeah.
We both agree there.
Thank you. It's just because it breaks my heart. The man was so good.
You came here and I spoke to your good side.
You did.
About your bad side.
Yeah.
But not you. But you weren't the bad side. You weren't bad. You were broken.
I was broken, but I couldn't handle adversity. So I'd come home and I'd say, so-and-so did this to me today. This person did that to me today. So he was like a place where I could vent, and he'd listen to me, and I felt that I was being a burden to him that way, because I knew I needed to be free from burdening him with that. But he had a patience with me that was beyond anything,
It's curative. Patience is curative. Impatience is the opposite. When a Jewish person or Christian person who thinks they understand God and they get impatient, they're not Christians and they're not Jewish. They're just ordinary people, sort of like, I don't know how to say it any better. The whole human race has what you have in there.
I know.
And to some degree. The young lady here, she has a problem because she's overweight. She's overweight because she's frustrated and there's anxiety in there. There's anxiety.
Sure. I don't know if I could talk, but the majority of my life, the past 8 years, has been very political.
Yeah.
And I see what's going on in Josephine County, and from the churches taking over, the politics,
Yes.
from the way the people in office are absolutely using the people of Josephine County for their own profit and their own good.
I see that too.
And I fought it and fought it and fought it, not as eloquently as Stuart did, but that was my mission.
I like that.
Yes, and I just realized, though, that now someone else has to do the fighting, that God, I do believe, has released me from the political fight. And now I can go on and do what I really wanted to do. I always kept Josephine County, the citizens of Josephine County, above my own needs. I always put them first, and which was okay because that was my job.
But no, but you're missing something. God first, Josephine County next.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's your job.
Yeah. But I do realize that now it's Sandy first, and then Josephine County.
But you now have to talk up to the commissioners.
No, no, I have,
If you
I
have to.
have talked up to the commissioners
If
for
you have
years
to,
and
that
years
is.
and years. And you know what? Now it's my time to get my own house in order.
I like that.
And what I want to do, Roy, is I've thought of this for probably the last year and a half, and I really want to thank Wendy Taylor for nudging me to come here today and to speak about this. But you do a wonderful job. Although I don't agree with everything, you do a wonderful job.
Eventually you will.
Maybe, perhaps. But you do a wonderful job teaching people who are infected with evil how to be redeemed, how to come back
That's
to
my
God.
job.
But you know what, Roy? I have a spot in my heart because of what happened to me as a child for young children. And I want to help them preserve their innocence so that they aren't infected. And I took your words basically because, I like the meditation. I love the meditation. And I put it in a song for children, a lullaby. And I want to write a children's book because most of the literature that is for kids in the
It's junk.
songs are junk. And I wish, I'll never forget, well, if you got time, I'll tell you, when I was like young, I remember being in my little Dr. Denton, the pajamas with the feet, and saying to my father, Dad, the lights, I can't go to sleep because of the lights. And he was watching television. He just said, well, that's your eyes rolling in the back of your head. Just keep your eyes forward. So I go back to bed, and I'm holding my eyes, and they're not rolling in the back of my head. But the lights are still there, and I can't go to sleep. So I go back to him. He goes, oh, don't worry, that's okay. See, he didn't have the wisdom to tell me, that's God talking to you. Don't worry about it. And
I get the flavor of that.
yeah. So I want to put out there a book, and I wrote a lullaby.
Before you can do that,
Mm-hmm.
you have to recover the
Myself.
innocence of your childhood.
Yeah.
So otherwise it's going to be very difficult to teach others what you haven't learned yourself.
Right.
It will come to you, though.
Okay.
So don't be in a rush to do that.
All right. Thank
If you
you.
don't mean it, because then you got to willpower. You got to will it.
Yes.
See.
Yeah. Thank you.
Look, yes.
What do you think I need to understand about my parents that I
Well,
don't understand?
It's very simple, and everything here is very simple. Is to realize that they did not know what they are doing. That I have a wife I've been with her 64 years, and she tells me what a wonderful person I am, and there's nobody like me. And she keeps doing that, but then she does things behind my back. Mm-hmm. Then I try to catch her doing certain things, and then she turns it around and does like Karl Marx, accuse others of what you do. That's what he says. It works. Because it's very dangerous. That's a very dangerous thing to do, to meet the person who accuses you of what they did. If you catch a thief in your house, and what he does, if he is not good smart, he will yell first, thief, thief, and bamboozle you, and the police will come and believe him, not you. It's a very simple thing. Accuse others of what you are. And that's what people do. And this was screwed your mother and father up. And you go all the way back to Paradise Lost. They relieve themselves by robbing you of innocence, which is a threat to them. Innocence is a threat. Now, I've been on the air for 55 years. How many of you listened to me a long time? How many of you have ever heard anybody call me and argue with me? No, none. I can talk to the whole nation, and you wouldn't see any demonstrations in the street, because none of them can speak up to me. I know how to twist it back to them like you wouldn't believe. That's my hypnotic state. But I know how to unhypnotize, which means if anybody attacks me, instead of me doing to them more than he does to me, and therefore I win, I become a bully. I'm less. So how do I overcome it? I have God inside me. He's taken away, he's redeemed me from being like other mortals. I'm still mortal, but I am growing inside with a different spirit. So when I lay myself down, when I'm laid down, I will find myself in another world. Just like I remember waking up and says, how do I get here? I didn't know I was coming down the canal of my mother, if you can call it that. Right. See that? And so when I saw how babies are made, it sort of surprised me. See how I got here. But when you die, it should be there's no death. Just like Jesus made a point. We in our time, their time, in the middle time, thousands of years, there's been a knowledge that human beings are meant to inherit forever. In the scriptures it says, when Jesus spoke to Adam, not Jesus, but God spoke to Adam, he says, don't eat of that fruit, of the knowledge of good and evil. He says, if you listen to me, you can eat of the fruit of living forever. He says you can live forever. He chose to be God. But he didn't choose, he didn't have the strength. And if God made 1 million Adam and Eves, it would always be the same. So he decided, since God can't create obedience, it's got to be voluntary. You have to love your father in a voluntary way, not by... Monkeys have to do how God made them. Slugs have to do it. How they can't help but be slugs. Dogs can't help but be dogs. They can be trained a little bit by their master. But human beings, in order to be human, must love God. And he can't make you love him. The devil does that. Correct? And he can't get away. You have to be saved from him. So this is how he's worked it out. God knows he can't create love. That's the only thing he can't do. Nor does he want to do. That's it. No, but he says, I make a person in my image. And the first one will do wrong, I know. Because he hasn't got the understanding of the forces that have fallen from the war that was in heaven. And the spirits fell to this earth. And we encountered them. They have no body. And so they rise to the occasion and into human bodies. And they function in human bodies so that there's war and more war and never-ending war till there's nobody left to inherit the kingdom. That's what's happening. There's no one left to inherit the kingdom. But that's not going to happen because out of all the hundreds of millions and trillions of people, I mean, there's 700 billion people in the world. There's lots of good people. There's lots of good people, especially in America, because you have a right. You have such a freedom, not to do wrong, but you have a freedom to do wrong, and there's space ahead of you that if you can see the truth with Christianity and Judaism, in the hope that you are able to overcome what's overcome you coming into the world, and tell you that you have been redeemed before you were born, because you came into the world innocent and the world got hold of you and you got into the world and the world got into you. Once that happens, you have freedom left, a margin of freedom left to enjoy your life, to be good. It was very difficult to be good in Egypt or to be in an ISIS world. It's very difficult to be good. They'll kill you right away. You don't have a chance. You have to hide. You have to keep your mouth shut. Here you can speak. Here you can make mistakes. Here you can extend your sin until it's so painful you'll say, what's life about? And he comes. And many people find it on their own. They don't need Roy Masters to do that. They can find that, but not that easily. There's so many people who want to get out of it and so broken, like yourself. It took time, see? And so, and then we have radio, so we're reaching all over the world. I want you to know that we have a place in Tanzania, and I've been working with them for 25 years. And it was war then, and certain people connected to me, and we worked together. Now it's a free country, and they have the best president they ever had, and all the countries in Africa want one like him. See, I know if I can do it to Tanzania. I didn't do it. I just gave them information how to do it, how to overcome post-traumatic stress disorder, how to overcome AIDS. They have AIDS. Nearly everybody has the AIDS there, but not because they're homosexuals, because they've been violated. Our husband comes home and violates his wife and children. They're not, it's still innocent. You can cure those, but you can't cure them if you're a homosexual, because you still have the sin that keeps it alive. So there you have a tremendous rate of curing, what did I say just now? AIDS. AIDS. It's a pandemic there. It's going away. Anyway, any more questions? Yes, you want to? Go ahead, Margaret.
When you use the term bully with me, I think of the stereotype, the classic bully at school, steal the other kids' lunch. And so I have that image in my mind. When you use the term bully, are you talking willful pushing around? How are you?
A bully is a coward.
Okay.
Everybody is a coward. And because he has to be one of two people. Every person that comes into the world subject to cruelty and from their parent, who do not know they're doing it because it's coming through the generations. And so when you are bullied or when you're seduced, mothers seduce mostly, women seduce mostly, and men are bullies mostly. Or they are submissive, appeasers. Men must not be appeasers. They become women. Women mustn't be bullies because they're not women. They're part man and woman, and the man is part man, woman, and man. No, let me do it backward. She's part woman and part man, if she's a bully. That's what a bully is. You were a bully. So you really couldn't be a wife because you had Eve in you.
Yeah, it would have been my greatest joy to have expressed that with him.
You wanted to be
Absolutely.
rid of that. The man's job, if he is, but he needs not to look to a woman for love. The tendency for a man born of woman is a man that has intuition, but is subject to females, subject to his mother. The husband is subject to the reason why the husband is angry, the reason why a husband is an appeaser, weak, is because it's the way he wants his way with a woman. He will give in to the woman to get the sex, to get the sense of worth that is worthless. At the same time, he can be a bully to get it, or appeaser to get it. If it's the appeaser, the woman, can't find the word, Eve. If it's a woman, if you appease a woman to have a relationship with you, that gives her power, a dark power, to hate. She'll give it, but when she's finished a relationship with him, she will feel dirty, and then she will hate him. But then the appeaser or bully, whatever causes her to, whatever kind of man it is that uses seduction to get what he wants, or bullying to get what he wants, he's playing with the devil of Eve in the woman.
Right.
So if he bullies her and she appeases, she makes the man more of a bully. And if she makes the man more of a bully, the bully will then demand that she gives more sex and gives more of herself as a slave to him. And she cannot say no. And when she fills the pool and cannot say no, she gives in again. And if this is a conclusion one. And so the more she gives in, the more hungry, because it's the wrong kind of love. See, and there's love coming up from the female saying, you're all right the way you are. So she emboldens the man without knowing what she's doing, but she cannot stop. So it comes the time when he's killing her and getting everything he wants from her, and she doesn't know how to stop. And she's screaming, and she's eventually giving in. But she, deep down inside, she hates him so bad, and therefore something enters into her and says, see, and it makes her enjoy the fact that this man is now a fallen man. I got him. He's evil. He'll never go to heaven. That is basically, deep down inside, even when a woman's broken and smashed to pieces, she will enjoy the fact that she has killed him and made him an animal, not fit for God. See that? Who gets that?
I understand it.
It's the secret thoughts that women have when they're really, really, really. There was not long ago, there was a lady in the shower with her boyfriend, and he was being a bully and using her and using, and she couldn't say no. What she did, she had a knife and she killed him, and then she shot him with a gun and made sure he was dead. She could just as easily gone to the authorities, but she couldn't. She was fixated to that, compelled to take that. And the only way she could do it is to kill him. She couldn't think of any other way. She couldn't move, couldn't get away from that. But they're both killing each other. Him in his way, her in her way. So she goes to trial. She's not guilty.
Yeah.
The man is guilty.
Roy,
See that? Men should know better. Got it.
can I'm very glad that my husband and I didn't sink that low. I'll tell you that. But I have a
made a point,
question.
though,
You
didn't I?
you did. But I have a question about one of the things that have challenged my faith this week is that when a husband wants to bring good in a marriage and a wife wants to respond to him, which is where he and I were at, why would God take him away in the middle of that process before it had fully completed? You know, I mean, we were getting there.
I don't know. Only God knows.
Only God knows. Okay, good enough.
But he's a beautiful man.
He was.
And I've been through so many things. I've died 3 or 4 times. And I wasn't meant to die. It was meant for me to learn what medicine doesn't know. Because, or even Moses, before Jesus, if I remember the Bible, which I don't read very much, he says, if you live a certain life the Ten Commandments. Nobody can do that. Nobody ever can. No, you can't really do it, but never mind. It's the rule. And then there's other rules to it. There's about 136 of them other than that. But what was I saying now?
The Ten Commandments with Moses, you couldn't live it.
Oh, yes. He says none of these diseases will happen. He gives a list of diseases. If you follow those 10 Commandments, none of these things will come upon you. And again, it goes back to the simplicity. The more you come closer to God, the more you deal with stress, temptation, so the temptation bounces off of you and something bounces off of you to him, that's good. If you look at a bully and they always push you around and call you a name and intimidate you, and they want to see if there's fear in you, or as appeasement, or you are angry, and take him on him, and he knows he's stronger than you. Otherwise, he wouldn't attack you. If you do one of those two things, he knows you belong to him. But if you have in you God, he doesn't understand. You can be 5 foot tall and 35 pounds, and he'd leave you alone. And with me, I was always 150 pounds, and I was a little devil. I'd whack somebody 3 times as big as me. It's all over in minutes. And then I say, how did I do that? I don't remember having all those skills to always win. I don't remember. It isn't a fight. It's 2 minutes, seconds. It's over. I pick up the person from the ground and say, I'm sorry to have to do that to you. Let's have a cup of coffee. Don't have any anger when I'm doing it. I could kill somebody the same way, if for my country and for my family. I would eat. I hate to say it this way, I'm Jewish, but if I had to do that, I'd be finished with it and eat a ham sandwich. That's how much I'd care. Yeah, I used to be a good fighter. You didn't mess with me. Thing is, but what it was, it seems like people would leave me alone, you know. I don't know how to explain it to you, but I'd write a book or make a movie out of me one of these days, because the things that happen to me are more magical. I can tell you stories of magic, but you won't believe me. It's difficult to believe. Magic coming through me. Really magic. I said, how do I do that? I used to, look, don't laugh, but can you see from a distance? See that? See that? And what's that look like? Oh. I'm really good at that. See? And so when I was so young, just make it a little lighter here. When I was a young man and the bombs began to fall, and we have a little flat on the beach, and you could see the battles of ships shooting on the ocean right out of my window. So I studied the encyclopedia. That's boring. I started to do magic. And then I saw how magic influenced people. I got so good at it. It was like real magic. But magic, I said, but the universe is magical. And then Jesus comes along and he changes water into wine. I mean, and then some. He raises the dead. He raises himself in the manner of speaking. I say, this is not psychiatry. This is not psychology. This is not medicine. This isn't science as we know it. This is magic. Wouldn't you think the universe is magic if he created all these things? What kind of being is this? But all we know is we're made in his image. Finished. And all he wants from us is to love him, but he's got to free you not to. he's got to have temptation. Temptation is, trials and tribulations are necessary to prove your love. And for a little while, you get caught up in your mortal self. And you lose, and you win, and damned if you win when you're angry, and damned if you lose when you're angry and give in to the person who's angry. And it's doing unto others what was done unto you. So he says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But the way the country is destroyed is the system that's making America the way it is now. Do unto others as was done unto you. And it goes right down the chain. Generation to generation to generation till we are void of virtue. And crying out for an avatar. Someone to rescue us. And in politics, it rises the occasion of the worst in human being to love it into a bigger hell. And everybody goes, hooray, hooray, when Obama came in. And all the lies and everything, we all believed it. Now we got Trump, and he's a decent guy. I'm not saying whether you should vote for him or not. I'm just saying he's magic. He has the magic. And I have magic too, but I have real magic. I've come from ordinary magic, which is tricks, into understanding Jesus. Not that I can change, as I said, water into wine, but I have a little piece of that in helping you. And then things happen to me that I can't tell you. You won't believe it. So I won't. But it's nothing but miracles. Otherwise you think I'm bragging. So I won't tell you. But you will have, things will go right for you that you didn't do. And things will go wrong, but then you have trials and tribulations. And these test you to see if you can bear it for his sake. Right? Understanding clearly that forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And when you hold your ground, be surprised how it will save your life. If it ever comes to a situation where you get captured by enemies, and you could hold your ground that way, the chances are they'll leave you alone. In the Jewish people, not so, because they've always been appeasers. There had to be appeasers in order to exist, going from country to country, persecuted. The tendency was to make them appeasers, good people, but they didn't have a country of their own. So they had to go along with these things. See that? To survive.
Could I say, talking about Stewie and just what you said, that Stuart never appeased, like I said, I only knew him 6 to 8 months, and we talk at in the lobby at the weekly business session, but just in the conversations that he had afterwards with people, he never allowed politically correct speech to go unchallenged. And that's what I learned from Stewie. It's just like moment to moment,
He doesn't
fearless.
know what he's going to say next, but he say it.
Yes, and he always says, just let, somebody told me, he always said, just let the words fly, let the truth come out, and that was
Right on the
Stewie.
money. You don't plan your words, you don't know what's going to happen next, but it comes to you and you don't know where it came from, but did I say that? Bang.
Roy, sometimes he didn't even know what the topic was about. He said to me, I just know principles. And he just walked in there with principles, and that was it.
Makes sense. I understand him completely. But look,
Thank you.
we had a nice morning together, I should say. And it's nice to have new people here. Welcome, and I appreciate it. We have lunch, and nobody is compelled to give anything. If there's a box somewhere, you have to look for it. Sorry, but we're not like other churches. So why don't you enjoy your lunch and talk to each other? And thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did that help a little bit?
Yes.